Signs: you have an anxious, preoccupied attachment style. Everyone experiences anxiety about their relationships from time to time, but for people with an anxious, preoccupied attachment style, these feelings are often intense and persistent. Anxious, preoccupied attachment, also sometimes known simply as preoccupied attachment or anxious attachment, manifests as high anxiety about the relationships and connections in our lives. Characteristics of an anxious, preoccupied attachment include poor self-worth, a constant need for reassurance, excessive dependence on relationships, fear of rejection and abandonment, problems trusting partners, and hypersensitivity to the moods of others. Jump to key takeaways. Attachment styles refer to the emotions and behaviors an individual has around the significant relationships in their lives. We form an attachment style as young children, though these styles can change over time in response to life experiences, trauma, and treatment. Signs to watch for: individuals with an anxious, preoccupied attachment style tend to have low self-esteem and a negative view of themselves. They tend to see others as superior to them, and as such, they may tend to be reliant and dependent in relationships. It is important to remember that if you have a preoccupied attachment style, this does not mean that you are inferior to others. Instead, it means that you feel that you are inferior. If you have an anxious, preoccupied attachment style, you might have a strong need for close relationships, fear of abandonment and rejection, and difficulty trusting others. You might be overly in tune with others' emotions and behaviors, and you may tend to jump to conclusions about your partner's mood due to these fears. If a child has an anxious, preoccupied attachment style, they will likely cling to their parent or caregiver and can exhibit symptoms of separation anxiety. They may become very upset when the parent leaves them with another caretaker, and might express fear that the parent will not return. Upon the parent's return, they may immediately run to the parent for comfort. Related conditions. Although anxious, preoccupied attachment is not an official diagnosis in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, it can manifest as a symptom of some diagnoses, including borderline personality disorder. Individuals with BPD experience frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment, which is a component of the anxious, preoccupied attachment style. Social anxiety disorder. People diagnosed with social anxiety disorder have intense anxiety that others are judging them or think negatively of them, and may experience preoccupied attachment. Substance use disorders. Research has shown that some individuals with SUDs can display a preoccupied attachment style. It's important to remember that attachment styles don't definitively predict that an individual will develop a specific diagnosis. However, identifying your attachment style can provide valuable insights about how you approach relationships and can aid in developing an appropriate treatment plan. What causes anxious, preoccupied attachment? People don't come into the world anxious about love. It's something they learn based on experiences as children and adults. That doesn't mean that genetics doesn't also play a role in shaping these attachment styles. While anxious, preoccupied attachment often traces back to our earliest relationships with our caregivers, genes and family history can shape personality and interactions with caregivers. Anxious, preoccupied attachment is often influenced by a number of different factors. Some causes that can play a role include genetics. As with most aspects of our mental health, attachment styles can be influenced by genetics. However, early childhood experiences and interactions with caregivers play a major role in how attachment styles develop. One study found that 45% of the variability in anxious attachment styles may be linked to genetic causes. However, the exact mechanisms for this are not clear. Stress and stressful or traumatic events can cause a child to develop an anxious, preoccupied attachment style. If an infant experiences inconsistent responses from the caregiver, they will develop uncertainty and anxiety about whether their needs will be met. If a parent is available and nurturing at times, but unavailable at other times, this can bring about feelings of insecurity in the child because the child cannot understand or predict the parent's behavior. Parenting behaviors: a child can also develop a preoccupied attachment style if parents are overprotective. The child can pick up on the parent's anxiety and can become fearful that they are unsafe and need strong protection to avoid being harmed. If an infant experiences inconsistent responses from the caregiver, they will develop uncertainty and anxiety about whether their needs will be met. If a parent is available and nurturing at times, but unavailable at other times, This can bring about feelings of insecurity in the child because the child cannot understand or predict the parent's behavior. Adult relationships in adulthood. A person can develop traits of this attachment style if they experience this inconsistency from a romantic partner or friend. Partners who display inconsistent affection or emotionally abusive behaviors can cause insecurity and anxiety around attachment. For instance, if you are consistently told that you are unintelligent, incompetent, and incapable by your partner, you may start to believe these things about yourself. These beliefs can cause you to cling to your partner and rely on them for protection and care that you do not feel you can provide yourself. Can it be treated? It's common for people with an anxious, preoccupied attachment style to struggle with relationships, emotions, and mental health as a result of their attachment style. However, research has shown that our attachment style can change throughout our lives in response to experiences and treatment. If an individual with this attachment style has a diagnosable mental health condition, they can benefit from therapy services and other evidence-based treatments for that diagnosis. Attachment therapies can specifically address maladaptive attachment styles. Since attachment styles impact relationships, someone with a preoccupied attachment style who is in a long-term relationship can benefit from couples therapy to work on identifying their emotions and communicating with their partner in healthy ways. Children and teens can benefit from family therapy to create a healthier attachment to caregivers and other family members. Parent-child interaction therapy is a specific type of family therapy that promotes healthy attachment. How to cope living with an anxious, preoccupied attachment style can feel like you are always bracing for impact. You're always waiting for the other shoe to drop, fearing that the next text or phone call might be the one that means the end of your relationship. The good news is that you don't have to live this way. This attachment style might be deeply rooted, but identifying your preoccupied attachment style is an important step in understanding the behaviors and emotions in your relationships. You can then use this knowledge to seek appropriate treatment and make changes. Learn healthy communication skills and share your needs with your loved ones in a healthy way. And practice using your voice when you are struggling. Develop friendships and connections with multiple people so that you have a strong support system and have multiple people you can turn to when you are having difficulties. Engage in self-esteem building to become more confident and competent in your abilities. Maintain healthy self-care techniques that you can rely on when you are having trouble. Healing a preoccupied, anxious attachment style doesn't mean burying your emotions or not depending on your partner for support. Instead, it's all about finding ways to meet your needs in ways that feel safe and steady, while also fostering a healthy relationship with your partner. How do you love someone with an anxious, preoccupied attachment? If someone you love has an anxious, preoccupied attachment style, there are strategies you can use that may help. Focus on being consistent and dependable. Communicate your feelings clearly, and be careful to avoid invalidating your partner's emotions. Key takeaways: people with anxious, preoccupied attachment tend to have low self-esteem and high anxiety about their relationships. Potential causes include stress, previous experiences in relationships, and genetics. Working to build health attachments, including with friends, family, and romantic partners, can help